Alright, so I've done the repair here, sanded it down. I'm hoping to keep this paint job localized. I was toying with the idea of doing the entire floor yet again. However, I'm pretty sure I don't want to do that. So I've got the airbrush all ramped up. This is a nice dark corner of the model, so it's lucky in that regard. I'm hoping I can just keep the paint right here. I'll go nice and easy with a matte coat, and then this will be done. Looking at it in the light, flaking it around, what I realized is there's still a dent here where I took out that tab. That was part of my idea of redoing the entire floor again, is I'd touch a few other things, but on the set at least, there's probably not quite a 2x4, maybe a 1x4 going across the bottom here as part of the overall door frame. So that is what I'm gonna do.
Another thing I recently realized is that I painted this the wrong color. I don't know why I thought it was the sand. It's really 1706.
When I was test fitting this piece onto the floor, the angles didn't quite work out, and you can kind of see it here, how this bottom here is kind of arcing away. And we can also see that there's a bow going on right in the middle here. And that is because I stressed this connection point out when I initially did it. And consequently, this little piece here is snapped. So I'm going to go and slice all this and see if I can relieve some of that pressure there. I'll know better once I have the floor fully dried again, but this is at least how much stress was going on between this wall piece. That doesn't even want to go, well, there it kind of goes back. But it was significant. So once I got the floor, I'm going to re-putty this. There's nothing visible from the inside at all as far as that goes, but I'll probably paint some black on the back wall there just to help make that look a little more invisible again. And a few more notes about this is that I made the wainscoting. Alright, so the piece to talk about today is what have been calling the back room. So as mentioned, when I did the last test fit on the floor, these angles weren't working out, and that's because I had stressed the back wall here. So now that I've loosened this up and detached it from that, it's now free and probably sitting at more or less the correct angle. So now this will go down a lot nicer. Once I have the angle fit here for where this has to go, I'll cement. Oh, let's get this in camera. So once I have this piece set in place and this wall angle is fixed, I'll putty in this area here. You can't see it from inside from any viewing angle whatsoever. And the other thing I want to talk about is how I'm doing this wall piece itself. Here's the way the show did it. They basically, rather than following the angle of the hull, they cheated it with a small room. If I can keep this in place. This partition here was at several different angles once they started showing this back room, which was like season 3, late season 2. There's one episode, John exits through here, Will enters almost simultaneously through here, and they took this partition and flipped it 90 degrees so it was parallel. There was no other way to do that move. So look at all the different episodes and check that out. There is a shadow back here, there is a light source over here, and essentially what you get when you're looking at it this way is a flat wall that the bulletin board is hung on, and they cheated the window out there because it's against a flat panel rather than being viewed at a far angle across the far wall. My solution for this is to go with a shorter strip much further out. So essentially what I'm doing with mine here is a bit of wainscoting. There will be a window on the back wall, however there is no place to really put, you want to be seeing this side, I guess. There's no place to really put the bulletin board, or sometimes it's a poster and sometimes it's also a fire extinguisher. There is a cork board in some episodes on this back wall, and that will be the place to put that, I think. So for this back room in particular, it's going to be the central window right there, which I would like to hook up to the outside of the ship, but at this late stage of the game, I really don't know that I can afford to really screw this up and get a really bad angle or anything. But once I've got the floor all together, we'll take a look at that. This will be one of the last pieces that I glue in, because I do have to make this fit to everything else. We'll have a test fit coming up on the floor and everything really soon. The paint repair is finished on the floor at this point, and I think this is going to work. So I've got to seal this up in some clear. I've got to reseal the floor in clear. And one other thing I did was I had some spare bits hanging from the mystery glow kit. I didn't know where they went on the model itself because they weren't in the instructions, but I later learned where they belonged, but it was too late at that point. So there are some half tubes that go down each side of this back room here. This is not accurate at all, but I had them on hand. They look pretty good. They'll glow in the dark, not that anyone will ever see it. And the only other thing I have to do for this guy is to create some basic shapes of colors for the space pod. So I got to get some reference pictures of that to see what the back hatch looks like, and basically I'll probably just do something in Photoshop for that. Just a few colors. I don't remember that it was too much. Some orange triangles, probably the door itself. And yeah, so that is pretty much that for that, and I believe I can slip that in afterwards. Let's test fit that piece here. So yeah, there's plenty of room for access to that later on, so I will not worry about getting that done immediately. There's other stuff to do. In terms of the floor repair here, I just got to seal this back over with matte. Hopefully I won't have to remat the entire floor. We'll see how that goes, but the repair is pretty much good and just about as close to invisible as makes me happy. On the flip side, these tubes fit. I've got to get, apparently the central tube fell out, so I'll have to fix that with a flickering yellow one, I think. I can't really do the moire, but I do have some flickering yellows on hand. Every time I look at the floor, I want to repaint it. I want to redo it. I want to refinish it. And at this point, I just got to remember that the goal is not perfection, it's completion. Therefore, I just got to finish this thing off and call it done. One other thing I will do is that I got some, the glue crazed some of the paint here when I put down the Fedoratron brass. So I've got to give that a quick spray paint. But if I do any more, then I may as well redo the entire thing and resurface it again. So let's try and avoid doing that. Next up on this piece, I got to create a window that will be foreshortened to the setup. I wonder if... See, the downside is that it's really difficult to gauge where exactly this is going to fit on the underside of the hull until I have everything in place, so there's not a lot I can do there. If I can cut a window, I will cut a window, as dangerous as that will be. I can always try and dress it up. There should be some distance between the outer hull and this inner side here, which means there's going to be a cone, which is accurate to the show, but getting that cone trim and fit and working, that's going to be a tough one. I don't think it could be completely set up properly, not without hinging or having some other problems. But we'll see how close we can get it. No one else has done this one yet. We're in pioneer country. Hee-hoo.